This is Travis Wayne Goodsell, and it's about 2 in the morning, and in my dreams, I dreamed that there were a group of us trying to escape from a house, and there were those of us who were able to make it to the attic. There was a hole that led into the attic, and we were able to get in and get away. But I went back for those who were left behind. But when I got there, they were all zombies, and the leader was in a metal suit of armor. And I tried to get a heavy object and was banging at the helmet, trying to get it off so that I can see who is underneath. And the leader in this metal suit finally exposed what was underneath the helmet by taking off the head altogether. The head was nothing. He had no head. And he was unable to come with us, and the zombies were turning into skeletons as floodwaters started rising in this lower area of the house. And so, realizing that there was nobody left to save, I went back and to the other group that had made it out. All right, Mormons, let's find out the tallies for the day and do a comment replies. So we'll mix several things here together. I guess we'll go first to my Gmail. Audible followed up a comment. There we go. Yay! I'm gonna get paid, unlike last month. Okay. I was trying to check into a business loan to see if I could turn all my knowledge into a business, but they never called me back yet. They're busy on the chat line, busy on the phone. Maybe I'll have to check other places to see what I can do. Alrighty. Yeah, we'll do the notepad for tally marking. We'll do comment replies here first. And at the end, then we'll do the tally. because we'll see if the comments include any of the tallies. MD, yay! Aww, aww, she's replying about why she got deleted. No, I wasn't saying you were siding with anyone. I was concerned that I had to delete your comments, because your comments are always insightful, John, MD. And John was getting out of control. And you knew John. Yeah. He had mentioned that he was not Mormon in one of his other comments. Yep, he is pretty wild, that's for sure. Yeah, sorry MD, I didn't want to delete your comments. So it wasn't you that let me reply. And I haven't heard back from you about Egyptian lessons, which was why I wanted to check into a business opportunity, turning my business into an actual full-blown store and all that. I found on Amazon a bind maker with glue rather than the hole punch. It was $500, but I realized that I can do this all by myself if I get the means and the opportunity, because I've got over 500 books published, 600 videos, and I could do these up nice if I were to make them more professional, and make those also available in the store. Use my website as well to sell stuff to take orders from. Alright. No, now you're in the way. Now, I was troubled with the fact that you were commenting on his comment that with me was over the line and needed to be banned. I didn't want to delete your comment, which is why I was troubled. Yeah, because John was the Mormons or Democrat conspiracy theorists. And I kept trying to tell him, no, you can't advertise and keep promoting that. And I did the link to Oakes's talk, because he was saying Oakes specifically was Democrat. And I said, no, Oakes himself reveals he's Republican. There is no Democrat in him. So he's always been that way. He's always been an alt-right Republican in all of his conference talks going decades back. And yet he kept pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing for Democrat conspiracies. And this is all what emerged by Russian propaganda during the Obama administration, which led up to Trump. Because they don't just deal with politics, those Russians. They also go after religions. And so I suspect that they were a part of a lot of the signs in the heaven conspiracy videos. So yeah, it was frustrating, because I first learned about it and was doing videos and books and website stuff on it, and then there was all these other videos that were coming out that were more popular and teaching completely wrong stuff, like calling the man-child the Antichrist. No, because if you go to the next chapter, chapter 13, you clearly see the beast is referred to as working for the dragon. And then you also find in Revelation that a false prophet also is working for the dragon, and that the dragon, the dragon is in control of the beast and the false prophet. And so you can see that John was not mincing words. He was specifically calling a religious leader who is in the position of being a prophet false. You know, he's not doing some mythical creature like the beast. And so, man, so yeah, when I'm doing these conspiracy videos of the church in Russia, you know exactly what I'm referring to. I'm telling you that that's the interpretation of Revelation. The false prophet, it's the leader of the church, because of what I learned when I did my astronomy sign phase. And so now the signs are for the most part done, except for we could include tonight. The moon is on the one side, the right side of Jupiter, who is the man-child. I've been tracking his progress from birth, conception even. So, so it's on. The moon is on the right side. Tomorrow will be the third quarter moon, and that's when it's on the left side and closer to Jupiter in conjunction. And so tomorrow, being third quarter, would therefore be the sign. And you're saying, well, what sign? What are you talking about? I'll just give you a hint. Every knee shall bow and every tongue confess. So that's why I'm watching the news very carefully, because Barr clearly came out with a summary of Mueller's report that is a fraud. He had done that article, memo thing last year to petition Trump for the job of acting or attorney general, in which he says that the Mueller report is a hoax, and and should be stopped. And Trump was saying the Mueller report is a hoax and should be stopped. And so, yeah, he was applying for the job. And Trump, of course, chose him. And then he gets put into position, and Stone gets arrested. And there's all these documents and recordings and stuff from Stone with his indictment. And then now it's over. No more indictments. And Congress, with the new Congress that's all Democrat, they finally handed over the transcripts of all the people that they've interviewed. And, you know, a lot of transcripts, 80, I believe. And because there were those who were found to have lied because of the convictions and the guilty pleas that have already happened. And so we knew that there were going to be more people to be indicted, but now it's over. Mueller finishes when there's still more to be done, and no more indictments. And it's an incomplete report because he doesn't give any conclusions, and he doesn't follow proper prosecutorial protocol, and total chaos with this. And then Barr doesn't want to reveal what's in it. He just wants everybody to trust what he says in this 4-page memo that is exactly what he was talking about in the memo that he had given to apply for the position in the first place. And is what Trump has been stressing over, because you know Junior and Ivanka were being indicated were the next dominoes to fall because of their lies and their crimes that they'd been exposed for. So, yeah, Barr shut it down as Trump ordered. And he now is part of the conspiracy. And that's bad news. Okay, let me, so, yeah, I think I'm losing MD, which is sad, because I like talking with her. Alright, so I'll just leave it at that. Okay, so I see Jennifer is also here. Oh, okay, we've already gone over that. Okay. Teresa Roberts. Okay. LDS Mormon Exodus. Watch 53 must leave on day 3, so today's day 4. And Teresa Roberts says, LOL, just keep bringing it, because we're listening out here. Are you Mormon, though? Because if you're not Mormon, I'm just preaching to the choir. See, like Random Muse, that's the choir. When you poke desert, you'll quickly find out that it's more like poking a hornet's nest. The Random Muse is my muse with the poetry that he or she uses. It's not been established. Random Muse does not communicate with me. They just post their poem for the day. And so, or is that a killer bee nest? With superiority stingers ready, but no venom. Just redundant reiteration of factually inaccurate urban legend, feelings and faulty personal opinions. Facts be damned. Good luck hurting that clouder of cats. So yeah, yeah. Why do you use the little girl gif? I don't get it. You missed the video where I talked about it then, Colin. I've been telling you guys that the thumbnails that I use, specifically chosen as symbols, if I can find an appropriate one. Sometimes they're just straightforward, but sometimes you have to think, how does this apply to the video that he's talking about? And so here we have a cute, adorable kitten who's on its back, and of course it's got a meme written all over it. Get out while you can, save yourself. And so the video is called LDS Mormon Reminder to Prove Church True or Get Out. And the way the meme is worded, it's as if the cat has been wounded. It has been fallen in battle. And he's trying to say, no, save yourself. So, if I have to explain it, it's not funny. So the little girl gif, she's inside a house and she's banging on the window, screaming and crying. And so, yes, it has to do with Mormons who are trapped inside their own box of their creation, and they're screaming and yelling about their being trapped in this box, but they don't bother to just find the door and get out. And so that's the purpose for the girl gif. Okay, MD is now commenting about on Bishop Reed Hammond's ultimatum threat to me, and she's asking, where did I find the stats posted last year? The church, they have it on their website, but in order to break it down into the number of wards throughout the world, you have to go to a Wikipedia site. There's a membership stats Wikipedia site, but then there's membership by ward and branch, and breaks it off separately. And that's a different site, and that's a little trickier to get to. But I'll find it for MD here and post it for her as a link. I thought they were not mentioned and nowhere to be found. Nope. And that people were only speculating about current numbers. No, my stats video probably even has the link. So yeah, because I commented on somebody's, I think. Well, we'll find it, because I can find it. Alrighty. Chrissy's Corner. Why I left the Mormon Church and how I did it. Ex-Mormon story. Good old Chrissy. Somebody replied to Colin Pearson about my little girl gif. Naomi Sessions. She's not scared. She's furious about being left behind at church. Naomi gets it. And even though the church has a kitchen, they don't keep any food there. Oh, so cute. It's all locked up in the bishop's storehouse. Don't worry, Colin. There is probably some leftover sacrament bread and water she can eat. She'll survive for an hour or two. Oh, well done, Naomi. YouTube did not cover that reply, so thank you for being there for me to see that. Okay. The church's website has the general summary, but there's a Wikipedia site with the yearly breakdown. And LDS church member, let's see, LDS church ward stats, Wicca. No, I don't want a definition of the, okay, and if it's, let's see, membership stats, yeah, got it, on the first try. And so yeah, it's got all the regions, and there's Africa first. Okay. And they're still doing last year because they have to wait for the church to come out with the April conference reporting for 2018. And I believe they even talk about maybe they don't. Estimated about 1/3? No, not when you go over your own stats. Peggy Fletcher Stack. Come on. You should know better than that. But that was in 2005, so maybe that was true back then. But it's more, it's a higher number now. Okay, in 2003, attrition is sharpest in the 2 months after baptism. Okay, wait a minute. Sociologist Armand Moss estimate that about 50% of LDS converts in the U.S. stopped attending church back in 2001 within a year of baptism, while outside the U.S. the rate was about 70% of those who remain active. So they're pointing out activity, but they're not giving you the numbers. So that I had to go through another source to find out that in U.S. and Canada, there's a maximum and minimum requirement for membership for a ward versus a branch. And then outside of U.S. and Canada, that number is lessened to allow for ward status from a branch. And so taking those minimum and maximum numbers, I then calculated using this page's membership stats according to each nation and each location that they indicate there. Okay. It might be my trademark now, similar to my font using Papyri, because I figured out how to do things. I figure out things year after year as I keep doing more and more stuff. So I'll eventually figure all this out. I want to be able to put a video pop-up here so that I can talk and then point to the pop-up. Or have me in the pop-up while the video is going on. You know, I can't figure that out yet. Okay, and then somebody commented last night on the one I did right at bedtime about BYU police. Wonder if, let's see, Naomi, wonder if the very general authorities will address this issue during conference. No, they won't. They don't do that. They do not talk about public events because they know everybody's waiting to hear what they have to say about public events. They do it subtly. For like the Kavanaugh hearing that happened last year, you had to pay close attention to former judge and lawyer President Oaks in his talk, where he talks about being pro-life and talks about the other views of the church. We Mormons are against this and for this. You have to pay close attention, because what Kavanaugh was for, what the Republican Party were for and were looking for in a new Supreme Court justice, was exactly what Oaks had said in his conference after Kavanaugh got put in. And the 4 Mormons were on that committee that put him in. And so it was very clear from Oaks's talk that he was giving his support to those 4 Mormons on the Judiciary Committee, that they had done the right thing. And that was his way of acknowledging his approval of their nominating Judge Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. So you got to pay attention to those things, because they're not going to come out directly unless it has an impact. Similar to when Protect LDS Children organization was able to get all those signatures. They presented it to the church, and then the church caved and said, okay, fine. Here's a posting of the interview questions that bishops have to ask. And they have to follow this script. They're not supposed to stray from the script. This should have been done all the time, but when you don't hold bishops accountable, and you just let bishops do whatever they want in private, which is the BYU complaint. Hey, we've got secrets we want kept secret about rape victims, and we don't want them exposed. And so, yes, BYU is following the church's practice of not wanting people to record bishops' interviews, which was how it got started in the first place. People were recording bishops' interviews with children, or parents talking about what their children came home and talked to them about. And bishops were saying, hey, I'm bishop. I'm called of God. And so if I want to talk to your little girl about masturbation, and so it got out of control. And so this Protect LDS Children stepped in, and good job, guys. And so now children and women can have a witness. I don't know if any Mormon has taken advantage of that. So, but notice that the church does not allow still a witness for men. So when Bishop Reed Hammond in that other video I did, when he gave me the ultimatum threat. I wasn't allowed to record it. I wasn't even supposed to talk to him. I told him no. He did not take no for an answer. No meant yes to him. And I wasn't able to have a witness. He made sure to be alone with me, just like he wanted. He wanted it private. And I said, no, I don't want to be left alone with you in private. I knew better. You know, the church's policy is that you're always supposed to have a witness with you. If you're on a mission, you go with a companion. You don't go alone. You don't do things alone. Everything you do in the church, you need to be with somebody who can account for you and you can account for them. And that's why Brigham Young got himself into trouble, because he went alone. Even despite the revelation, go with somebody. And oh man, $5 billion every year. Oh, that's the amount of money it costs. Wow. Man, that's sad news. So yeah, it's bad. It is a problem, and the church will not deal with it unless they are forced to because of public pressure. That's why they had blacks in the priesthood. Public pressure. Doing away with polygamy. Public pressure. Don't be fooled when the prophets try to claim that it was revelation or God wanted it for this period of time. Because Mormons are still in rebellion with polygamy. That's why women in the church who are sealed in the temple, who get divorced, are still sealed to your husband. And you can't break it unless there was a serious crime that was committed. And then you make the appeal. You know, he raped a little girl, and so I divorced him. I want the sealing broken. Granted. But if it's just irreconcilable differences, church won't do it. They will not give you a cancellation of your sealing and until you find some other guy who wants to marry you, and you have to first go through the process of getting approval for the cancellation of sealing. Then you have to go through the process of getting approval for the marriage. And so that could be tough, because you may get the granting of the cancellation, but then the marriage approval may not get accepted. And that has been a policy back in my day, because lots of people were wanting to get married a second time, sealed a second time, and the church was saying, no, wait a year, see if you can hold off. The church was forcing people to wait and go without getting sealed. And so these Mormons who get rejected for the second sealing were realizing, hey, I just need to marry this guy out of the temple, and then a year from now the church will have no choice but to accept us. And so that's shooting themselves in the foot is what that's all about. So yeah, they don't talk about issues, Naomi. If there is issues, they talk about it generally. You know, when, for example, when everybody was talking about the buzz that the Mormon leaders are in a bubble and they don't know what's going on in the front lines of the battlefield, then you get leaders come up and talk about, we are not in a bubble. You know, so you know they're talking about what people are popularly talking about. And if they do excommunications, you know, like the ones up in Pocatello, Idaho, where they tried to shut down the the whole stake, I think, was going wild, because I think there was a guy who was leading people out of the church up there, and so they didn't specifically talk about going to Pocatello. They kept that a secret. It was a special mission assignment to go up there and chastise the Pocatello people, or Boise people. It was in Idaho. And so then when conference comes around, the particular people involved will talk generally about the subject matter, about apostasy or following the Lord's prophet and stuff like that. So you got to stay current on world events and church events as well, because like I said in my video about what we expect for conference, you can expect that they'll be pushing temple attendance, and they'll do it indirectly, if not directly, saying, go to the temple, it's the place of love and joy and in communion with God and blah blah blah. But then when you realize you have to pay your dues in order to qualify to go to the temple, that's where they get you, because they don't say that. They don't say, pay your tithing so that you can go to the temple and receive the blessings of eternity. They don't tell you that. No, they're deceptive. So pay attention. Ooh. And now she's, okay, she posts a link about how it's costing Utah, because of all the sexual violence that's going on, about $5 billion every year. It's a KSL.com article. And so even though KSL is Mormon, so you've got to wonder about what they mean when they say $5 billion every year. How are they getting that number? Because this is church sponsored. And so if this is KSL doing a, hey, we did a study, we paid this group who are pro-Mormon to do a study. So you got to be very careful, because the church did that for medical marijuana. They hired, well, it was actually a Mormon group that paid for the study on behalf of the church, so that the church can't be linked directly to the study. And sure enough, the study comes out and says, hey, medical marijuana is bad. And so the church then came out and announced before the midterm election, where that was on the ballot in Utah, they were saying, vote no. Do not allow medical marijuana. Utah Mormons voted yes. And so the church then stepped in and overturned it through the state legislature. They went to the legislature, they're Mormon boys in the legislature, and said, hey, we disapprove of the people voting yes, because we wanted them to vote no. Change this law. And they did. And then Rocky Anderson has got involved in a lawsuit concerning the matter, and I haven't heard anything about it since. So lawsuits take years, and so that's just wrong. The whole thing was wrong. But it was after conference, so they're not going to talk about it, obviously. And then with so much time gone by until April conference, they're not likely to talk about that either. There may be an issue if they feel the need to come out and say all forms of drugs are wrong and you should stay away from them in keeping the word of wisdom, something like that. And so those are the subtle things. Gays, for example, the gay community recognizes when the church attacks them, with Oakes specifically, the great homophobe, and when he makes his comments about how gays are subhuman, though he doesn't say the word subhuman, but it's very clear to everybody that that's what he's referring to the LGBTQ community as being subhuman, evil, wicked, needing to be purified of their wrong thinking. And because remember, he's a lawyer and a judge. He knows how to word things to fool you. But as I point out in this BYU police unsound counter-argument video, it's the lawyers who are doing the countering on behalf of BYU. And so I'm breaking apart the argument of the lawyers. It's the lawyers who are messing this up for the church and doing a very poor job with unsound argument, because the case is solid. 3-year investigation, and they got court approval to proceed. And the church is projecting, saying, hey, you guys are being mean. BYU's being mean because of this cover-up scandal they're doing, and victimizing victims of rape, re-victimizing them. And so, yeah, and then Naomi finishes by saying maybe they should rename the school BYRU. She says Brigham Young Rapist University. That also could refer to Brigham Young Russia University, because RU has been the Russian propaganda media. That's their little abbreviation, RU. And you can recognize that when you go through YouTube or any other social media. The R or the RU refers to Russia. So there's a double entendre in that. Okay, so we'll need to click on Replies so that we can delete clear the notifications. Alright, so well done, Naomi. I'll even give you a thumbs up on that one. Okay. Wow. Only 1 thumbs down on this video. Okay, so we need to go to my video page. Alright. And so nobody commented. See, Mormons can't do it. No Mormon is up for the challenge to defend the church soundly. They can't do it. They'd rather put thumbs down instead. Alright, so 148 is the previous total. So let's begin. The initial video still has 8. Whoops. Wrong button. And comment replies. Know your background history still has 9. Adorable Jessie with her excellent attempt to explain why the church is bad. She just needs to do a more full research. It's not a simple research. You can't just uncover one rock and find worms under it and know the whole truth. There are a whole field of rocks with worms under them. You have to dig up each and every one. to find out the real truth of what's going on. 11, 35. Church educational system announcement. 43. And it's like they make these changes and they make it such a big deal. Oh, it's breaking revelation from God. No, it was a business. What are you doing? I want to go back. YouTube was frustrating last night. I couldn't get that video to process. It was just stuck. And so I'm giving feedback, because that's the only method of communication that I have with YouTube. There's no call number, there's no chat thing to say, help, I need a technician, something's wrong. And I even had to put in my notes or comments to the feedback, I hope this is not an employee who's throttling the processing of my video. I didn't want to put a Mormon in there, but yeah, it was bad last night. And then they're still not putting my most popular in the correct order. I have to keep telling them, hey, it's not in order. Fix it. Get it in order. And then occasionally they'll do it once in a while, but yesterday they were refusing to put it back in order. And so I finally figured out I can highlight certain things. So I highlighted things in that comment to them. And I can check again today to see if they've complied yet. But yeah, I mean, they fix it, but then they don't fix it. They reverse it back. Because my most popular needs to be, first and foremost, the 16K video that I did 2 years ago. If that's not the one, and instead they put the original Mormon BYU police video, which is only 313 views. They put that as the most popular. No, something's wrong, guys. Okay. That was when the Russians attacked me on the Mueller probe release. I couldn't believe that. Right when it broke, my computer just shuts off. I'm in the middle of reporting it on my website, and my computer just shuts off. It didn't crash. It was just turned off, like somebody had flipped a switch. I'm going, yep, I know exactly what's going on. It's because we're still under attack by Russia, guys. Trump will not do anything to stop it. And there's a whole propaganda machine that's still working on YouTube and all these other social media sites, and Mormons are falling for it. Still. It's humiliating for Mormons. You know, you feel bad for how much they are so gullible, believing whatever anybody tells them that supports their belief system. And how do they know how to target Mormons? Because they've got your data. Oh, man. 101. They know exactly what irks you and how to manipulate your mind into their kind of thinking. They are experts at this. This is their intelligence group. These are the spies. They don't need to do James Bond stuff now. They can do it all over the internet. That's from the art of war. You know, if you can do a propaganda campaign first and foremost, that's the most effective in taking down an organization. you get the other country to fight against themselves, and you know, as they're attacking each other from that nation, then you then go in for the kill shot. I can't believe all the anti-Mormons are freaking out over the departure of Lee and Kathy Baker. Just hilarious. Everybody thought that they were the shining light examples to lead those out of the church into a new dawning millennium, and then they go and become Jewish, and all the Christians are like, what? No! I still haven't gotten a reply from them when I said, hope all is well. Just hilarious. People want it their way and are shocked when it doesn't go their way, and same pattern of behavior. 144. There are some videos, guys, that you guys are missing out on. You know, I know that I'm being shadow banned, but there are some videos that you need to hear that you're not going to. You know, I could reboot them, but just title it a different way, but yeah, that's what I thought. Don't want to duplicate or miss any of them. 57. So people are actually kind of interested in my what I'm calling now LDS Mormon Exodus Watch. People are curious. And Reed Hammond's threat to me is also doing fairly well. 62. You know, I'm only going to go until conference because I can't keep doing this on each and every single video and doing a video of it because we're getting to an hour here. So there weren't as many yesterday. There were some, yes, but it's not as many. Of course, it was Monday, family home evening, which Nelson did away with, if you Mormons have forgotten. Only one. Interesting. Okay. So 166 now is our grand total. And so 148. Oops, that's an 8. 18. Wow, not as many Mormons. And yes, I'm well aware that they could be Russian trolls. But I think Russia has backed off a bit because my computer, after that glitch, when the Mueller report broke, it's now starting up pretty quickly now. At first, the first couple of days, right away, I was like, hey, whoa, this never happens. And now it's starting to slow back down again from when it's able to be up and running. But yeah, I can tell when I'm not being harassed on the internet usage. So, and yesterday Xfinity goes down. It didn't shut my TV down. It just, well, it did have a glitch after my internet went down. I'm just processing one of my videos, and I comment on it that's giving me problems. No, that was late night. It was another one, and it wasn't going anywhere. It was stuck at like 13% or something like that. And I'm going, man, this is weird. What's going on? And then I look down, and the little yellow warning is over the Wi-Fi indicator. I'm going, no! I try to go into another link, and it won't let me. No internet found. No, how do I get my internet back? And so I'm searching through all my paperwork trying to find the Xfinity hotline, and then the computer voice says, we're not going to reply to you or send you to an agent. We're just having problems right now. And it'll be at 6 o'clock when we figure it out. So, okay, so 3 o'clock. All right. So, one more hour and I'll go running. And if you're wondering, why wait till 4, Travis? Why not go now? Because this is the crime peak. 2 to 4 in the morning is the crime peak. Because I've been the neighborhood watch president. I'm well aware of what goes on in my neighborhood. And so, yeah, this is the time when all the criminals are out. And I don't want to have to carry around my phone to call in, hey, Travis, I'm at such and such. Yes, I'm at such and such. We've got suspicious characters who are looking in cars. But yeah, when I moved here, started running, I chased away the car thieves on 47th, because I would just go up and down to the railroad tracks and back. Do that a few times when I was fit enough. And I'm still trying to build back up after getting off the drug and trying to establish my sleep schedule and get back onto exercising again. And we had winter, so now I'm trying to get back into it now that we're in spring. But at first, yeah, I was catching those guys and stopping them from pursuing it, so they went elsewhere to do their work. And then I became neighborhood watch president in 2016, and decided, hey, why don't I'm neighborhood watch president, why don't I do my run through the neighborhood to patrol along with it. And then realized pretty quick, I need to bring my phone. I'm having to run home to make the call after the fact, rather than calling at the spot. And so, yeah, I started bringing my phone with me, and yeah, it was weird, the amount of crime that goes on in this area. And 2 to 4, sure enough. And when they realized, hey, there's a guy calling the cops on us, they started going earlier at 1 o'clock. And they can't go to 12 because there are still people up at 12. Which is why they do it 2 to 4, because for the most part, most people are in bed sleeping during that time period. And that's why it's the peak hours. And so they tried to do it at 1, but I caught on to them and was going at 1 o'clock all the way to 4 o'clock. And they can't do it from 4 to 5, because people are getting up now and heading off to work, and so they have to finish by 4. So yeah, so a lot less during the daytime. There are still the occasional stuff that happens during the daytime, but yeah, I was putting a stop to it. But by putting a stop to it in my neighborhood, out here on 47th, they went back there. And so when I went back to running along the 47th again, they're watching. They know of me, and they watch for me. They watch to see what my patterns are. And the city in Kearns, because Kearns is on the other side, they got fed up with the car theft, and so Kearns, to deal with it, said, okay, nobody parks on the street anymore. And so now there's signs, no parking. That's how they dealt with it. And so the trailer park across the street had to allow multiple cars inside, because that's why people were parking outside, is because they had multiple cars. And so not everybody could have all of their cars at their residence. And so, yeah, I make changes one way or another, whether it's me requesting the change, such as getting certain people fired, or getting the mailbox and other changes like that. So yeah, I've had a big impact in changing this neighborhood, being here. I'm an Eagle Scout. Make a place better than when you arrived. Leave a place better than you arrived. So, but yeah, like I have pointed out also in other videos, the neighborhood has now gone to pot. The gangs all tried to reclaim the territory from the vacuum of me leaving, and tagging by all the new recruits was going on, and everybody was trying to divvy up the territories before the other gangs. And yeah, that's what happens. The neighborhood didn't want me, and so that's the consequences. So you make your choices, you live with the consequences. So if you don't like the consequences, don't make that choice. It's that simple. All right. Okay. Nobody snuck it in. Old advertisement that I got when I was married. Don't need it anymore. Alright. And there's no communication from people I need communicating with. So, alright. Wow. Yep. So yeah, I'm exposing the church. It's more than evident. I have made an impact, whether people want to accept it or not. So again, Mormons, you are unable to be sound, and that you're not commenting. I'm not seeing the comments. I hope I'm teaching you something, because you can't just do what BYU police lawyers are doing. It's unsound. It's ridiculous. It makes them look dumb, because they're projecting. They're saying that public safety, the government agency, are being the abusive ones. They're projecting. They're the ones who are actually abusive, not the government, who was doing a 3-year investigation, got court approval to proceed with the warning. And that's all it was. It was a warning shot saying, hey, we've done an investigation. We've found that you guys are committing crimes. We want you to give us all the documentation that we're asking for so that we can settle this matter. And if you don't, we're doing away with your police service. And BYU instead wants to be resistant. We want to be allowed to victimize victims of rape. We don't care about their rights. You know, BYU changed their policy back in 2017 because of the pressure of this issue. And we're not even 2 years into it, and already they're fighting to not conform to what they said they were conforming to. This is the history of Mormonism, going back to the days of Brigham Young, when the government came in and said, no, you can no longer be a king. We'll let you be a governor. And then they had to come back and say, no, we are not letting you be a governor anymore. It's just over and over again. Mormons resist. Don't change us. We want to abuse. We want to hate. And they will not change. And they just don't get it. You can't. You can't do this to people. It's just unbelievable. And then Mormons throw in God. It's God's church. God wants us to hate. God wants us to abuse. God wants us to torture. And God wants us to rape. And it's like, they're just abusing the Constitution with the First Amendment. Religion does not have the right to violate others' rights. Life, liberty, property. Nobody has that right. It is a crime to take away another person's life, liberty, and property. The only reasonable justification for taking away those rights are when they themselves commit a crime, and it's part of punishment. That's the only reason. It's got to be punishment for taking others' rights away, and it has to be equal to the crime. And so if you take away another's liberty, your liberty needs to be taken. Take away another's life, your life needs to be taken. Take another property, your property needs to be taken. It's that simple. It's not complicated. It's not unjust, as some people like to say. People are pushing for the death penalty removal. And I can understand, because there are a lot of people who are falsely accused and falsely arrested, falsely imprisoned. We can't have legalized corruption. But at the same time, those who truly are evil, they need to go. You know, Charles Manson, I'm sorry, he needs the death penalty. I think he's dead finally, but they should not have allowed him to have life in prison without parole. That was not right. Just, you know, what he did, they were way too merciful on him. Alright, so sign out. And Ted Bundy and Mark Hoffman. Yay, Stephen Colbert is back. Okay, so I'm going to watch Stephen Colbert while I do my uploading. And so we're already an hour and 15 minutes. So hi, MD. Alright. Hope all is well. I really miss talking with you.